Hey, what's up guys? It's Toxic here. And today I'm going to be showing you guys how to trade, and this video is mostly going to be for beginners. Now, I got this idea for this video because I have a friend who recently decided to start trading, and he kept asking me, all these questions about what's a good trade, what's not a good trade, and I figured there's probably a ton of people out there who probably don't know what is a good trade, what isn't a good trade, what they should be looking at in items, especially in the smaller end, which is why I'm going to be making this video, obviously. And I just figured I could make a whole video just kind of explaining this stuff. And I have a few examples that this person actually sent me. So I'm just going to go straight to the examples before anything else for you guys. The first screenshot being this. And in this trade, he basically asked me, would this be worth accepting? As you could see, he gains a little bit of rap. You can see even add some Robux here, which is interesting. Even if you subtract the Robux, I think he still gains a little bit of rap here. And if you guys don't know, a lot of people typically just rap trade, especially in the smaller item category. But honestly, without knowing the items and without being able to take a look at them, you're not going to be able to get a conclusive answer like this. So why don't we actually take a look at the 3 items that he would be receiving in this trade. And the first item he would be receiving is this Lone Spaceman. And if you take a look, it doesn't have very good demand. You can see it never sells twice in a day. And when it does sell, it's usually like weeks apart from each other. You can see right now it's even selling below wrap and nobody's buying it, which gives me the vibe that this is a pretty low demand item. And honestly, if you take a look at an item and you see it's kind of like this, like you can see it has very big gaps and never sells very frequently, you might want to stay away from an item like that, especially if you're getting something like legitimate fedora. But the next item is the casual sunglasses pocket, which, unlike the Lone Spaceman, does sell quite a bit. Every single day, pretty much, it sells at least 1. Even in the past 30 days, if you take a look, it sells like 5. You can see on Christmas it sold 27 for some reason. And you can see it sells pretty frequently for about 600s, and you can see the best price is 800. So this one isn't a terrible item. I mean, you could see it seems pretty alright. And the last item he would be receiving is the Blue Ultimate Dragon Face, and as you can see, it's selling above wrap. It sells pretty frequently. Again, it's a smaller item, so it's going to be selling a ton. You can see it sold 74 times on Christmas, but you can really see that it sells quite a bit on a daily basis. So if you take a look, Lone Spaceman being the biggest item has very, very low demand, meaning that you probably won't be able to trade it off, and you probably won't be able to sell it either if you want to just sell it. So you might want to stay away from this item, especially when you're talking about legit fedora, right? Like, let's take a look at legit fedora for a second. I forgot you have to type legitimate to find legit. If you take a look at legit fedora, right? And I think it's pretty obvious that legit has one of the highest demand on Roblox in general. But if you don't believe me, just go take a look at the charts, right? Even on Christmas Day, it sold 319 copies. On a normal day, even, if you go to just 90 days and you just go scroll through, you can see it sells, anywhere from like 30 to 143 copies one day. I don't know what's up with that. I think that was Black Friday. That might be what, yeah, it was down to 1,800 average. But if you take a look, just in general, it sells over 30 every single day. It's one of the highest demand items on Roblox. Even yesterday, it sold 45 copies, and that's just some random day in January. So you can see that, legit, extremely high demand versus, a bunch of items that have a lot lower demand. Also, that Lone Spaceman item, I would kind of advise staying away from just because, again, it has pretty low demand. And I know you might be wondering, why is demand such a big thing when it comes to smaller items? It's mostly because of the fact that when you're wrap trading on Roblox with these smaller items, these higher demand items, even though they fluctuate a lot more, you tend to get a lot more out of them. Like for a legit fedora, you're more likely to find somebody who's willing to give like 4K wrap in OK items versus, for example, going back to that Lone Spaceman. Let me just search it up real quick and go back to it for you guys. Lone Spaceman versus legit, you're definitely gonna get a much higher overpay on legit than you ever would with Lone Spaceman. I mean, you could see nobody really even buys it in the first place. But yeah, you get my point with that. And honestly, that's what you kind of have to look at when you go with these smaller items. You just have to look, you have to see what the demand is for a lot of them. You have to see something else I also want to point out is you have to take a look at the selling price, right? Like you can see we're on the relevant side. This isn't even like, the lowest price items or anything. I'm just going to click something random with a low selling price just so I could show you guys an example. Let me find one. I guess I'll go with Sinister Branches. And if you take a look at them and take a look, right? For example, you can see 1,588 wrap. But you can see the best selling price is 1700, 1700, 1700, 1800, 1800. You can see that the wrap is obviously going to increase. So what you could do, especially with the demand, like again, when you pair it with the demand that these items have, like you can see this one sells, 30, 66, 51, sells 36, 46. It sells a ton of copies every day, just like legit. And basically with these Sinister Branches, you could get it for, for example, if you try to get it for 1500 wrap, you could probably get, 2000 wrap. Once it sells a few times, it raises to 1700 wrap, and you would be able to trade it off for, profit and all that. And a lot of people, what I see them do is they just send trades for items with higher wrap. They don't even take a look at the item. Usually they end up getting a projected, right? And let me find an example of a projected for you guys. And I'm going to be using the moon as a projected example for you guys. And as you can see, it was recently projected. You see it usually sells for about 1,000 or under. And then out of nowhere, it sells for an average of 13,000 9 times today. And, sometimes this doesn't even pop up, especially if it's something that happened very, very recently. It won't even come up on this wrap chart. So it'll just look like it has a really high wrap. And if you don't pay attention and you're just looking at, oh, it looks like a pretty stable line, so it must be decent, you might accept it. Or, hey, it has a high wrap, I'll accept it, whatever. And I've seen a lot of people do this where they give like items like legitimate fedora, whatever, for one of these projected items. And they end up losing a lot because obviously they're projected. They're going to go straight back down. Like you can see right now, if it sells for 3,500 right now, the wrap will drop another 1,000. And that's the main issue with people just, accepting any trade with high wrap on the other side without really looking into it, because then they're just going to get a projected that just drops straight back down and they end up losing all their money. And that's kind of what I'm trying to help you guys not do. And honestly, that's pretty much everything I could think about to put into a short little video trying to help you guys, get the basics down with trading and all that. Because honestly, other than just making sure you don't trade for stuff that's projected or making sure you don't do terrible trades for, low demand items, there's not much else you could really do. The only other suggestion I could really give you guys is make sure that you don't do bad trades, okay? And I know that's a very, very vague statement to make, but trust me, there are some bad trades that people get inbound that they accept, and I just will never understand why. And I guess I'll show you guys an example of it. And I know this isn't the best example, obviously, but this is kind of what I mean by, just don't do terrible trades like this. Now, honestly, I mean, if the person who sent this trade just wants these 2 items, obviously, I'm not saying anything. But if you're trying to make a profit and you're trading like this, I would really advise against it. As you can see, they gave Catching Snowflakes for Camo, Commando, and Shaggy, which has about 700 less wrap. And honestly, with Catching Snowflakes, you could probably get a lot more than just these 2 items. But I hope you get my point when I say just don't do terrible trades. Just make sure you look into the items and make sure you do everything. Now, the only issue with this is the fact that Rollerbonds doesn't really do anything with small items, neither does RBX City. So there's no value site that really, helps with smaller items that tells you like what has very high demand, what has very low demand. And it doesn't help that half of the items that used to be valued, like for example, Catching Snowflakes, Legit Fedora, Space Hair, all this other stuff that was 4 to 5K, none of them are valued anymore. So there's also that you kind of have to deal with. But I would just advise just making sure you look into every item before you accept a trade or decline a trade or anything. Just make sure you do that. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys learned something new. If not, I'm sorry. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and goodbye.